Hey, it's Soul. It's late, but we got some kind of late news from the World of Warcraft team regarding raid changes and experiments to raid rewards in Dragonflight Season 1. So this is a very raid-centric sort of read that we're going to be doing. For those who are interested in profession stuff, Mythic Plus stuff, sorry, it doesn't look like there's going to be any news on that. I think it was mentioned here. I haven't read too much of this, but we're going to go through it together and, well, like, subscribe, support the channel, and let's start reading. Hey everyone! We want to get out a sort of primer ahead of the raid testing tomorrow to provide context for the sorts of changes you will and won't see as you step into Dragonflight's first raid, Vault of the Incarnates. Before diving into what's different, this post is going to be entirely about the raid. I think I already got to that part, a little bit down. Without further ado, here is what's in for tomorrow, as in tomorrow's raid testing. While inside Vault of the Incarnates, group loot will be the only method of loot distribution. There's no option to select yourself or your group to return to personal loot. So does that mean only for testing, or that it's just straight up gone? Because he's talking about like tomorrow. Anyway, and this only talks about the raid. So some items like profession reagents may still use personal loot where appropriate, kind of like mounts and stuff. Need and greed UI will return, and we'll be monitoring feedback to make the rules around when and how players can roll on items be as intuitive as possible. More tool tips. I think it was kind of self-explanatory for me, at least. Loot trading. While inside a raid, all item level restrictions placed on trading between members of that group are removed entirely. Back to the old kind of thing. Okay. This means that even small item increases that are not upgrades, as is often the case with rings and necklaces, which are budgeted high in secondary stats, won't be locked to a player, even in the case that they roll and win that item. Cool. So back to the old school stuff of need versus greed, fat ninjing, council, sucking up to the raid leader or the raid leader's spouse or whatever. Anyway, let's move on. Item level tiering. There now exists a third item level tier at which items may drop up from 2. 389 is the base item level for normal difficulty and will drop from those bosses, 4 bosses. 395 is the intermediate tier that now exists for wing bosses, which are, okay, so that's what, 7 item level, no, 6 item level more, and then 398 is reserved for final bosses, so like a little bit more for the last bosses. These item level increases will stay within the plus 13 band for each tier, meaning that heroic base would start at 402 and just plus 4 after that. So I guess that is the normal item level. That heroic starts at 402. Okay, cool. Now I covered that just the other week when I was talking about how profession item level was changing. So I haven't really looked at this deeply enough, but I'll just do a quick comparison and see. Oh, does this actually? My client's up. What am I talking about? My client's up, and I can see stuff. Okay, so we're looking at the item level of raid related stuff in vaults on heroic. Yeah, so we're seeing that it's you can sort of see there that's at 402. But if I were to open my profession stuff, like let's look at tailoring really quick, unlearned, and see what sorts of gear there is. So that starts at 382, which I believe, at least off the top of my head, I believe that kind of lines up with the plus item levels. For a long time, we've observed that while players love the challenge of powerful wing bosses and mid-tier walls like Halandra, Sludgefist, and Painsmith, it didn't make much sense when overcoming those involved challenges rewarded you with the same gear as you got from defeating a Shriekwing or a similar first boss. Oh, that's messed up. Our hope is that by introducing new tiers of raid rewards, progressing through Vault of the Incarnates and future raids will feel more meaningful as you master the difficult encounters within. It is a little bit weird that when you consider a raid, how it's going to have a spread of item level like that, it's going to mean that you're not going to have matching item level. You're going to have, whatever the loot is from that raid difficulty, unless you do Mythic Plus, which is what will let you even your item level out, which makes Mythic Plus, like, kind of better. Bummer, right? Unique drops. Additionally, we're experimenting with a number of bosses that possess one item that intentionally drops at a higher item level, usually +6 or +7 from that boss's normal table. To be clear, this isn't Titan Forging. It's going to be the same item every time, and it's going to be slightly rarer to compensate, and pending some new tech, we'll have the ability to note this in the dungeon journal itself. Okay, cool. They'll let us know. These can be unique appearances, items with special bonus effects, or powerful trinkets that many people may seek after. We have a few things we're hoping to accomplish with this, such as retaining some excitement from early bosses that groups typically master very quickly and no longer become challenging by spicing up their loot tables. So, okay, just, adding more stuff. Better than adding the Soka fix. For sure. Give more long-term goals for difficulty encounters and make a larger push towards having item level accurately affect the power of a particular item. Small plus. While we added many strong effects to weapons in Shadowlands and it wasn't easily communicated how good an effect actually was, for instance, Edge of Night. The Sylvanas daggers were clearly much stronger than the item level indicated, but they still appeared the same as the rest of the loot table. Our hope is that by being a bit more flexible with item level, we can give ourselves better tools for tuning these effects appropriately and in a way that makes sense to all players intuitively. For the moment, it's intended that not all 8 bosses possess one, but that's something that could change in the future. Current examples of unique drops are a pair of special rings from 2 of the bosses, an Omni Trinket from another boss that gets stronger with more copies. So we're like incentivized to get dupes. Thanks, guys. And that would have been cool to have that in general, so that way we can sort of upgrade items, I guess. But anyway, or a special bow from the Storm Incarnate herself, Razageth. Typical hunter bias. So that ends the list of things that are existing and are implemented, though tuning for trinkets and special effects are still very work in progress. That said, we'd also like to share some plans that are not implemented. We're interested in trying this out for a future beta build and getting your feedback on how it feels. Why the bold? Do they mean future as in after Dragonflight or a PTR? So anyway. Bind and equip items. So remember, these are not happening yet. Regular non-boss enemies within raids will no longer have a chance to drop bind on equip items. That sounds bad already. Instead, Instead, lieutenant enemies named mini bosses throughout the raid will have chances to drop them instead. These would work like lieutenants do in current WoW, where you're only eligible to receive loot from them once per week per difficulty. Okay, so we're kind of used to this at this point. Kind of more difficult things, a little bit before a boss. There's like 2 or 3 of them in the raid, and you know what those are. BoEs would become scaled with group size like regular bosses do. This would guarantee a set number of BoEs each raid per group, assuming a full clear of the... Let me read that again. BoEs would become scaled with group size like regular bosses do, as in multiple may drop from them. Nice. This will guarantee a set number of BoEs per raid group and yada yada yada. So does that mean they're guaranteed? So it would mean, here's my highlight, guarantee. How many folks out there are like, yeah, dude, we haven't gotten any BoEs at all in the past like 2 weeks, and another group will be like, well, I get it every week, haha. And it's kind of irritating. So this basically gives easy loot. Now the question is, will it save us to the instance? My guess is probably, I'm not sure if it does it now. Because you typically need to kill a boss before you go in, so I'm not entirely sure, but that'll be important to know. Because if we can progress that far without having to save ourselves, if we don't have to, reset, go, constant gear, GG crafting. But this is not implemented yet. This is not, work in progress, whatever. Let's keep going though. BoEs would become... Oh, actually, I already got that part, sorry. The goal... Lastly, we'd be placing more important items in the BoE pool. This could be anything from weapons to higher item level pieces to make them more worthwhile to raiders. Tier pieces, come on. The goal of these changes are to reimagining bind-on equips by making the raid environment itself a sort of ninth boss, with a guaranteed amount of extra loot to reward progressing deeper into the raid or efficient full clears without the need to kill every single bat or moss worn off in the corner of the battlefield to get your value. Additionally, this is an opportunity to create clear and understandable rules about how BoEs work and support them as a reliable source of gear players want rather than feel like an afterthought. That's all for now. Please feel free to ask questions and provide feedback both on this post and as some of you dive into raid testing over the next week or so. We'll respond and clarify as much as we can. Thanks for reading and yada yada yada. And one follow-up. I'm not quite sure what it refers to, but previously the best way to target a specific piece of loot, I guess they're talking about how to exploit this, was to stack as many similar armor or weapon types as possible to increase the chances of that dropping. Now, even if you're the only rogue or demon hunter in your group, you have the same chance as anyone else of seeing an upgrade. While this does mean it's possible for a bow to drop in the group without a hunter, which is guaranteed going forward, have fun with that. The belief is that this rewards groups for playing with a diverse set of classes as well as the normalizing factor above. Male wearers from the last few years know how hard it is to get loot comparatively. Did they fix raid loot? I don't know. Not prepared to pass judgment yet because they haven't talked about vault stuff. We haven't really seen or learned enough about Mythic Plus to come up with a comparison. Because what I was talking about before was the whole average item level that players are going to get. And I think that there's going to be a pretty mixed reaction. Now that they've officially, we've seen this for a while, but now it's being officially revealed in notes here, that pure raiders are going to have this hodgepodge of 389s, 395s, and 398s for their, for their loot. Crafters will be able to have something that's very comparable. It's like almost, it's not quite 398. It's something between 395, 398, something like that. Or whatever the equivalent is per difficulty. And that at least is like kind of consistent from the crafter's point of view. It's like, okay, I know where I stand and this is what I'm getting. Raiders are going to feel kind of funny, but then, what this will really be measured up against is going to be like Mythic Plus, as well as, and I guess to a lesser extent PvP, although they tend to live in their own world. So I think it's really another one of those PvP versus Mythic Plus things that might be going on. If Mythic Plus offers a path to getting a more consistent item level that matches like whatever this final boss item level is, if that's even possible, even at the Mythic level, then people are going to gravitate towards Mythic Plus because, hey, that's going to have the bigger loot table. It has a better chance of having stats that I like. Now, to be fair, there are supposed to be some cool offerings here in raids, and it looks like there is because there's stuff that you just that have a higher item level than everything else. Like something has an item level of 430, and I'm not sure if that's going to be capable of. I'm not sure if Mythic Plus players are going to be capable of getting that sort of item level. But if they can get a more consistently higher average item level than a raider, there's going to be takes. People are going to be talking smack about it. But for now, that's where we're at, and at least they're talking about it. Although we don't have set bonuses to talk about, which is very unfortunate, but I encourage y'all to share your thoughts of what's going on here below. What do you like? What do you don't like? And that's going to be it from me. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more content. I'll catch you later. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay breezy.